Just a heads up, before the video starts, the audio on this vid is terrible. So, just warning you ahead of time, it's very frustrating. I did the whole video, and it just glitches out. But the video's already done, and I'll just leave it like it is. I'm just getting practice right now anyway, so that, and the fact that, well, I shouldn't say it, but nobody's watching at this point. So it's just good practice.
Welcome to the show.
Best way not to get a copyright strike? Use your own music in your videos. I wrote that song and recorded it almost 15 years ago now. It's hard to believe. The crazy thing is I still feel pretty much the same way now that I did when I wrote that. I guess that's a good thing. At least the song means something. I think that's a good mark of success for a band if they write a song and then 30 years later they're still a band and playing out, that they can still play the song and be proud of it. I think about bands that have written songs where the title is a girl's name. Think about them. All those years later, they've probably had 10 other girlfriends or significant others since then, probably married with kids, and they have to go play that song out. So I'm glad I can listen to it now and still relate to it. I did one thing right at least. I'm going to leave this picture up for a second because she's quite lovely to look at. Supposedly, this female's name is Maria Orsic, and she apparently assisted in World War II with Germany in some occult dealings, and then translated that to technology that was used by Germany, supposedly. But I've also seen videos that show that this picture is completely fake and that they photoshopped some girl's face over another picture. If it is fake, if somebody else's face was used, I'd love to know who that person was. But that's not important for this video. The important thing is that this picture looks like my girlfriend. I used to refer to her as my wife. After you've been with somebody long enough and you're 30 or 40 or whatever, it sounds pretty immature to call somebody your girlfriend, so I would just say wife, but these days I'm not so sure. So I guess I'll go back to saying girlfriend. Although I don't even know if she's my girlfriend. I don't know if she wants to be my girlfriend. I've learned a couple things. One thing I'll mention now, and then one thing I'll mention here in a little bit. But the thing I'll mention now is, as good as this chick looks, beauty is definitely only skin deep. If you've got a girl that looks like this, you're going to pay the price in some other way. Usually the first thing when you've got a girl that's pretty is that you're competing with the whole world. Everybody's going to try and get what you have, if you even really have it, if the girl is loyal and faithful. In my case, I think my girlfriend is actually faithful. The problem with my girlfriend lies within her mental state. There's some mental illness going on. I'm not sure what it is. Well, one thing is obsessive compulsive disorder. Another thing would be traumatic stress disorder. There's something else, something with her attitude, and that's the big problem. Her attitude towards me is terrible, and it got worse over the years. I've never seen a relationship degrade as bad as this one. This is the longest relationship I've been in, so there's been plenty of time to observe the various phases of the relationship. The honeymoon phase, then you get your comfortable phase. Then after the comfortable phase, you really start to see what lies beneath. What's the person really like? I wanted to mention too, if you guys have any input or thoughts, feel free to comment. And I forgot to mention there was another diagnosis that she received called PMDD. It's kind of like PMS, but it's more of a chronic issue and it's more severe. Over time, I realized that things go in cycles, not just monthly cycles, but longer cycles. And there would be these good periods of time, no pun intended, and then out of the blue, it was like, whoa, what just happened? I just became your enemy and I have no idea why. And you don't want to hear me speak. You don't want to be around me. And you're absolutely miserable. I do have to give her credit because she was upfront about this when we first got together, and she mentioned that she would feel a certain way and that she didn't want to be around anybody when she felt that way, and that the feelings were really intense. I just didn't realize that I would be the target for those intense feelings as we got further into the relationship. People tend to mistreat the ones that they're closest with because they're comfortable with that person. And that's definitely what happened in this relationship. It's been a death by 1,000 cuts. It's been a cumulative effect. It builds up and builds up. It would generally get to a point where I couldn't tolerate it anymore, and then I would get upset with her, and then it would lead to a fight, and we'd fight and fight. Then eventually she would start to see my point, and then she would apologize, and then she would try to change for a couple days, and then maybe there would be a good week in there, and this all centered around her monthly time hormones. There would be a good week, a week and a half, and the rest of it was just a journey back to that miserable state. Some months were better than other months, but you always knew that there was going to be a bad one eventually. So that aspect of the relationship has been a strain, and I don't deal well with a person that's hot and cold, up and down, moody. I'm kind of an even keel type of a person. I am generally the same unless I'm triggered or provoked in some way. Unfortunately, a trigger for me would be unpredictable people, moody people, people with attitudes. I can't stand attitudes and arrogance. Not that those two are the same, but a bad attitude, I just can't stand it from people. And the thing is, she's got a good heart. She cares for animals, probably too much. I think that's where the obsessive compulsive disorder starts to kick in. She obsesses over animals, our animals, their health. She wouldn't want to go out and do anything because she'd be afraid to leave the dogs. She was the kind of person that would take her dogs with her everywhere to work because of what she does. So her animals were literally with her 24/7. And on the surface, that seems really cute and really sweet and really nice. But she would be surrounded by her animals, and I couldn't get close to her. Even something as simple as sitting on the couch, watch a movie, or be close. She had this little dog, and I would joke and say that that was her husband. Now the dogs have passed away, unfortunately. We have cats, and the cats replaced the obsession. What I mean is that her focus went from the dogs and onto the cats. I tried to express this issue. It would come up in fights where I wasn't so nice about it, but there were other times when I tried to be understanding and try to address the issue. And she would deflect and say, well, you do this, and we couldn't get anywhere. It's like she couldn't recognize or acknowledge that there was an issue. In the very beginning, she did say, she posed the question, what's wrong with me? Why do I do this? But as the relationship went on, she would start to rebut and argue and deflect. And eventually, she would deny. And then she would double and triple down. And she got more confident in her OCD over animals. And eventually, she told me that I was the one with the problem and that it was in my head. I would try to address the issues with her attitude, and again, in the beginning of the relationship, she was more humble. But then eventually, she started to deflect and deny and tell me that it was in my head and that she doesn't have a problem. And in the past several years, now she says that I'm paranoid. So now she's turned it around on me to basically say that I'm paranoid about people in general and with her. There could be paranoia there based on the past trauma, so I'm not going to fully deny that, but it could be hypervigilance or it could be oversensitivity to something that really does exist. But for a person to just dismiss another and just say, basically, it's in your head, you're paranoid, you're crazy, clearly that's not right. There's more going on than to just dismiss it with that easy statement. So I pretty much feel like she has dismissed me and disposed of me, even though she claims she still wants to have a relationship. You can tell when someone wants to be around you. You can tell when someone's happy to see you and when they're not. You can tell when a person's just sick of you, like eating the same food every day for 2 weeks or something. You just get sick of it. I found that to be the case in my life with most people. They get sick of me. This girl used to have a light in her eyes. I could tell she was impressed. She was excited. She was happy to see me. And I watched that fade away. I would say after the first couple years, the excitement was gone for her. And I'm the kind of person that I'll try to keep the excitement. I'll try to keep the relationship feeling fresh and new. And even if I do get sick of a person, certain aspects of their personality, I'll try not to show it, try not to be transparent about it, because I know that's going to make them feel bad. She can stifle her feelings and put on her nice face at work, but apparently she can't do it with me because she's comfortable and she doesn't get paid by me. So I've paid in other ways. Most of the projects that I've taken on over the past 10 years have been on her house. And now I've pretty much renovated the house. It's a huge fence with all these elaborate gates and all this stuff. And like I said in the first video, we live in a very low income place, but I still tried to make it nice. I did the fence for her animals and I built a house for the cats. And I was always doing stuff to try and please her and make her happy. And I wanted to make the house nice for, you know, both of us. But if it was just me, I'd do the bare minimum. She'd be happy, she'd be appreciative for a little bit, but it quickly went back to the old attitude. It's like she would quickly forget or just take it for granted. It seems like the harder that I would try to make her happy, to do things to make her house nice, to increase the value of the house, work on her car, any way that I could offer my services and save her money. Seemed like the harder I tried, the worse things got. Have you guys ever noticed that? The more you want something, it seems like the further away it gets, or the harder you try, the more you get the opposite outcome. Sometimes it seems like the ones that don't care, the ones that don't put in the effort, seem to get the rewards. And I tell myself I need to just stop caring. And in some ways I have. Like this stressful situation with the house, I've been so stressed about it, and I've been sick the past couple days because I'm anticipating the future and what's about to happen in the next couple months. I'm really contemplating breaking things off in this relationship for good. I also forgot to mention the fact that I don't live with her anymore. I'll explain more about it in future videos, but I literally moved into the house next door. I became friends, or you could say associates, with the landlord, and there had just been nothing but trouble. This is a rental house, and it's been nothing but trouble. Thieves, the place getting robbed while certain tenants lived here because of the activities they were involved in, yelling, screaming, pounding, our animals being scared, engines being revved, raging, slamming, really loud noise in the middle of the night. The houses here are very small, and I have to admit I have a lot of stuff. And I had the house very jam-packed. It was looking like hoarder intervention. She works during the day, she's up early in the morning, and I am a full-fledged night owl. I work best at night, so our schedules conflicted. I needed a place to work, set up shop. I had my drums and instruments set up upstairs in a room, but it was so packed there was barely even room to sit up there. So I needed some real space if I was going to try and do any real work. Once I got over to this house and set up an office, It was absolutely amazing. I had space, and I realized why I had been putting this off for so long, because I didn't have any personal space. I couldn't work at night, and it was just so packed over there. So there were several reasons for me to move over to this house, and the plan was to rent this place from the landlord. He wouldn't do a rent to own contract. So I worked on a USDA loan, like I mentioned in the first video. I was going to rent until the USDA loan went through, and then at that point I would purchase the house. So there were several reasons for me to move over here. One was so I could work. Another was to declutter her house and give her some space. And then another reason was to try and salvage the relationship because it was dead. So I moved over here a year ago, and my hope was that once I was gone, she would start to miss me. And what I found after a year is that she's been over at this house, I don't know, 5, 10 times. No effort to come over here. So I go over there, I see her, see the animals. We go weeks, at least days, without seeing each other. What's the old saying? Absence makes the heart grow fonder? Not in this case. Nothing's changed. And in fact, I would venture to say that it's gotten worse. She's still annoyed. It's like I get the eye roll every time I open my mouth. I'm afraid to even say anything or try to be funny or make a joke or be myself like I used to be. I feel like I've been emasculated. I don't understand. Maybe some of you guys can give me insights. My guess, one observation I have is that she's so burnt out from work and dealing with people, and once she gets home, she just doesn't have much left in the tank, and she just kind of wants to sit, vegetate, watch pointless stuff on TV, and spend time with the animals. By the way, before I forget, speaking of the animals and how she would tell me that basically she doesn't have a problem, that I'm the one with the problem, it's in my head, whatever. But we had a friend, a mutual friend, that would come over and visit. And he gave me some feedback. One is that he noticed she's an alcoholic, which, yeah, she's got a drinking problem, which relates back to maybe the obsessive compulsive. She's very anxious. She's a worrier, but so am I. So we kind of related on that. And she self medicates with alcohol. So he noticed that. But the other thing that finally gave me some confirmation that I wasn't crazy, or affirmation, whatever the word is, I was telling him about, I was venting a little bit, talking about the animals. And before I could even say anything, he said, "You feel like the animals are more important than you?" I said, "Yes." You noticed?" He said, yeah, a little bit. He didn't want to say much more than that because he's her friend as well. That was the confirmation that I needed, that I knew I wasn't crazy. Most of her topics revolve around, oh, look, the cat just did this. Oh, I have to take this cat to the vet. I think this cat has a health problem. She takes care of, she has two at her business, one, two, three, four at the house. So that's six. She had another cat at her mom's, plus two birds, and at one point she had three dogs. She's very focused in on the cats at all times, cleaning litter boxes, brushing them, talking about them, watching them, taking them outside, bringing them back in. She's almost too distracted with the animals to have a conversation with me. I had never seen anything like this. You've heard the term crazy cat lady, things like this. Some woman that's got 30 cats in her house or something. Well, maybe there aren't 30 cats, but the focus on animals. And one insight, again, I have to give credit where credit's due, but when she was a kid, she had a house fire, total loss. And, well, I won't go into it because I hate hearing about sad stories with animals, but you can fill in the blanks, and that's all I'll say. I think that's one reason why she's so concerned with, she likes to rescue animals, save animals, take animals to the vet, treat them, all the medical stuff. And so I would venture to say that something in her psychology, she's trying to somehow make her past right in that regard, if that makes sense. So that's really all I need to say at this point about my relationship with her. but it's gone cold. And just to sum it up, I've watched this thing die. I guess it's a slow death, but I noticed in the first couple years, I noticed things degrade, and they've gotten worse with time, not better. I always wanted to be in a relationship where it would get better with time, and the relationship just feels dead. She's got a dead look on her face, a dead look in her eyes. When she looks at me, there's nothing there, no excitement, no happiness. And we are in our mid 40s, so I'm sure there's hormonal things at play. I mean, the whole S3X has been pretty much non existent for years. And I would be understanding about that. I mean, I can be understanding about that, but it's the bad attitude. Even if you're not interested in intimacy, you could still act happy to see the person. So it's just a real shame. It's a shame to be in a dead relationship, a person that's not happy to see you, hasn't made any effort to spend time with you, and would rather be at home with the animals, a person that's annoyed with you every time you speak. So I came over to this house. I was hoping it would help restore the relationship or rekindle something or whatever the word is. It didn't work. It didn't do anything. So I stopped putting in effort and I started to direct my interest towards more self-oriented goals. I got a motorcycle and started riding, having some little summer adventures, worked on this house, worked on these YouTube channels, worked on my motorcycles. And I told her what my plan was, what my hopes were about me being over in this house. And she's like, "Oh, I was just giving you your space because I thought you needed to get this stuff done." So, like, it sounds good for her to say that. "Oh, I'm just thinking about you. I'm giving you your space." But you could look at it another way where she's putting it back on me. "Oh, you were busy, so I just let you do your thing." Kind of like it was my issue. Her not being around was because of me, not because she didn't care, if that makes sense. And she'll do subtle little things like that all the time. "Oh, I was just giving you your space." Now, if you want to see a person, you'll be like, "Hey, can I come over for a second?" Nothing. Crickets. Just me over here by myself. So that's all the venting I'll do about her. I'll probably talk more about it in future videos because the future of my relationship with her is uncertain. The future of my living conditions are uncertain. And there's more I have to explain about that as well. It's not hopeless, but it's still a huge headache. I've moved so many times in my life, and not by choice. It was out of survival and necessity and financial struggles. And I just got set up. So if I have to move again, it's going to be a mess. Well, the one thing I've learned after 10 years, being in a relationship with her, the purpose that I have played in her life, the role that I've played in her life, was more like a maintenance man. And the thing of most value to her, I think, is my services, my abilities to build things, work on things, maintain things. Her house was probably around $13,000 when we moved in because it was trashed. And I redid everything, plus added a bunch of other amenities, the fence and all this stuff. Her house is probably worth $100,000 now. I don't even live there. My name's not on the deed. And I can't move back in there. There's not enough room. It's like I phased myself out of the situation with nothing to show and didn't even realize what I did to myself. So that's a little backstory on the situation, and that's just one person. But there are the people in this community, family, friends that have passed away, loneliness. That leads me to the last part, which is the philosophical part. There's the saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," which I've never liked that saying. Just because of the amount of stress I endured since I was a kid has been a lot. Probably more than the average person, I'll just say that. And I don't know if I feel stronger. I don't know if I feel strong right now. It's like I need to see something good. I need to see some positive results. I need some hope for the future, a good outcome. Then maybe I'll feel stronger. Like it was worth it to go through the bad part. And you ask God, why? I know this is like a testing ground. It's like a boot camp for the next life. for eternity, for heaven, to prove yourself worthy. But this is a lot of stress and a lot of struggle. So you just ask God why, and then you wonder why so many people, which I'll address in another video because I've talked so long as it is. But it's like these people are put into your life like plants, demonic people, like gatekeepers to your happiness and your inner peace, like soul suckers, people that are there like a limiter on your happiness level. You can't get too happy. There's always somebody at the workplace, in the bands I've played in my family, early childhood, all the stages through my life. My girlfriends, my girlfriends in my adult life. I had a good girlfriend in high school, and I was the demonic one in that situation. I was terrible, just embarrassing. So then you wonder, am I being punished? I kind of joke, half joke, I don't believe in past lives or reincarnation, but I sometimes entertain the idea that maybe I was really, really awful in a past life, and so I'm paying for everything in this life. And one of the ways that you pay is by having to deal with these demonic people, narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes even more than life circumstances, the thing that really makes you pay is the people in your life. There's always one. It seems like there's always at least one bad apple in the bunch in every department of life. Like they're present just to test you, just to make things difficult, because life down here can't be that easy. There's one in this community right now, absolutely demonic. This kid really is a psychopath. And I don't mean like a killer or something like that. He's literally psychopathic, like no empathy, no sympathy, a pathological liar. Uh, his dream job is to be a sniper. You get the idea. I'm going to talk more about him because he's an interesting character. But over the summer, he tried to come over to my girlfriend's house and tried to get with her. She notifies me as soon as he communicated with her, and so I confronted him. We had talked earlier in the day, friendly talk. Later, it wasn't so friendly, and I confronted him, and then he came down and bum rushed me and attempted to fight because his daddy lives literally right across the street. So this kid never does anything unless he has like family or friends or some backup. He's a coward on top of everything else. But that was this summer, and my girlfriend didn't really handle that situation very well. Didn't really show me any moral support afterwards. She rolls her eyes when I complain about this kid. She's just checked out. She's emotionally unavailable, and I understand, so I just stay over here in this house and I'll talk about it on YouTube. Maybe somebody out there will enjoy the drama. Who knows? This kid also networked via Messenger with some other younger kids that are minors to come up and ride dirt bikes and motorcycles and really loud stuff around my house and make a bunch of noise all summer. It would wake me up, it was disruptive. Can't even make a video like this right now, which is another reason why I'm up at night, because it's peaceful and quiet, which is what I'm doing right now. It is 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's lovely. Not a sound. So that was another aspect of the summer that just made it kind of a dark summer. Usually I'm so excited. And I had the motorcycle. That was the one source of happiness. But as far as family goes, as far as my relationship, as far as the community around here, the living situation, the uncertainty of having a roof over my head, or at the very least having to just upheave my life, probably break up, probably move out of this community. And I'm just not all about that. I just got this house set up to my liking, worked out all the bugs, repaired all the stuff, got my channel set up, and I'm ready to roll. I just don't want to move. I pray this USDA thing, I hope it works out. I pray that it works out. I forgot to make the most important point or question, and that is, all these people and situations, are they happening for a reason? All this isolation, also, is it for a reason? I used to be distracted, time spent with my girlfriend, wasting time outside with the neighbors, trying to have a sense of community, trying to build up relationships here. the financial worries right now. It torments your mind, but it also can motivate. I'm isolated, scared, but I'm also motivated enough to venture out and give this YouTube channel a try, at the very least, see what happens. It's good therapy to talk about this stuff. If it ends up getting monetized, that would be absolutely amazing. And maybe this is the start of an exciting journey with hope for the future. All this adversity, all the fear, all the torment in my mind is motivating me, and it's my fuel right now. I'm harnessing the torment for fuel. I've also noticed a lot of these chosen one channels on YouTube, which I think that is a good way to create content and stroke the egos of other people and get some views and make some money. That's the skeptical part of my brain talking. But then there's the other part that says, why does this apply to me? And all these videos pop up and they'll say, you're going through hard times, but God's going to get you through it. You're going to come out victorious. The people that are mistreating you right now, they're going to be sorry. And so then I'll just chalk that up to my phone must be listening to me. But, these videos like God cares about where you live, and this lady's talking about how she was in a similar situation as me and God got her through. She got in a house, better living situation. All these weird coincidences with YouTube, and there's so much popularity when it comes to these chosen one videos. And the thing is that I like some of them. There's one guy up in Canada, he's got a big channel, and he's helped me see and realize so much. He's half my age. I've learned so much from him, and just look back on my life, and I'm like, my life has pretty much been one giant mistake, and it's embarrassing. Those videos are popular, and these people are just talking with the camera, no, movie magic or anything. It's just them talking from the heart. So that inspired me. I thought, if enough people like to view this kind of stuff on YouTube, which myself included, I thought I've got a pretty juicy story to share with folks out there in the YouTube community. If that many people tune in and can relate, then maybe there are a whole bunch of people out there that can relate to the things I'm talking about, going through similar things. Maybe this will be a comfort to other people to know they're not alone. Hopefully I can make this interesting. Right now I'm just setting the groundwork, giving a little bit of backstory, but I'll start getting into details in future videos, and we'll take a little ride in the time machine. I made a bunch of notes for this video. I don't think I got to half of what I put in my notes on my phone. I guess that's a good thing. So it'll just give me more things to talk about and more videos to make. Maybe I'll do a continuation or a part 2 to this video. Then the next topic after that, I just wanted to talk about my bad habits, my fear of dying, and these intrusive thoughts here recently about how I feel like I'm gonna die soon. I think this all relates, of course, to PTSD or CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, because people with PTSD oftentimes have feelings of doom, and I've definitely struggled with that through my life. So I was just going to talk about some symptoms of PTSD, things I've struggled with personally, and shed a little bit of light on that subject. So that's probably about it for this one. I'm honing my skills, laying some groundwork, giving backstory, and the future videos, they'll get better. They'll be more interesting. I've got some zingers to share with you guys. So stay tuned, subscribe, like. Thanks for listening. See you on the next one.